You like my microphone?
I love it. I think you should do it like that all the time.
Here I am. It actually is a lot more fun.
Yeah.
I know. Okay, who's here with us? Is anybody here yet? If you are, say hi to us in the chat room. Carmen's here. Hi, Carmen. Let us know where you're from. I'm excited to introduce you guys to my really good friend Mandy, and she and I actually met in graduate school. How many years ago was that, Mandy? Again, was that like 20 years ago?
More, I think. Well, maybe about 20. Yeah, probably about 20.
Okay, so she's a licensed psychotherapist. She's an alchemist, and her work is so inspiring that I wanted to share it. And so we're doing this fusion together, and we're learning so much just from talking to each other about this stuff. So I'm so glad anybody who's interested in something called Beyond the Light, and it has something in there that says the dark side of spiritual awakening. You guys are my people. Okay. So we're excited. How many of you guys have actually had, or do you feel like you've had a mystical experience or a spiritual awakening? You can raise your hand. Karina's from Florida. Oh, we got Guam in the house. That is so cool. That's badass, Carol. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for. What time is it over there? Oman, yeah. That is so awesome. Can you see the comments in the chat room, Mandy?
I cannot see the comments in the chat room, so I'm just super excited at your responses because I can't see them.
Oh, I'm not sure. Okay, I don't know how. Just look around.
I'll look around. I'll see what I can find. But
it's over on the right hand side. It's 7 a.m. in Guam, you guys.
Oh, there we go. I got it. Okay. I got it.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna get started. It's good to hear from you guys. Friday morning. Okay. A few of you said yes, definitely. Oh, a lot of you said yes. Oh, I'm so glad you guys came. Okay, this is important information because you don't hear about this stuff enough in the spiritual community. And so we're gonna break some good stuff down for you guys. Today's just really kind of a higher level, overarching. We're gonna go through some of these topics and define them for you, because I know for my community, maybe you don't know fully what shadow is or alchemy is. So we're going to kind of go through that and why it's important and how it's related to spiritual awakening. So yeah, that was a lot of people, Mandy. Did you chat?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I see it now.
Okay, good. Yeah. Good.
Yeah, good. People are ready.
I know. So you guys, I usually talk about angels. I talk about a lot of things, by the way. I'm also a therapist. So I love working with the unconscious mind and getting in and bridging the gap between spirituality and psychology. And so that's what today's really about. So if you're kind of like a psychology geek, personal psychology, you'll have fun with this one as well. And I like holding my mic like that. I forgot my stand. I'm not at my regular house, but so I feel like my own DJ, which is great.
Yes.
I know, I feel good. So angels, something I just want to start off with real fast. I'm kind of changing the plan, Mandy, is that angels, we know that angels help us a lot, right? Angels can bring miracles into our lives, can help lighten our hearts, can help us manifest at excellent levels. But angels also help us activate our mission. They help us and can induce a spiritual awakening. Actually, the first miracle that I experienced came along with a spiritual awakening. So they are related to this topic. And I just want to open up that framework for you guys so you know that angels are there for this as well. But we're going to be spending a lot of time today talking mostly about the shadow and alchemy as well. So spiritual awakening. Mandy, do you want to read this one or talk about it? Or
we could do both.
Okay.
So we already got a little bit of a poll on who who feels like they've had a spiritual awakening, are having, are going through another one, because it is about layers, peeling back those layers. Here we are again. And a lot of you said yes, or are interested in learning more about it, what it is, how that might look. So we're going to define it today. Our version of spiritual awakening. And it refers to a transformative shift in a person's consciousness. And because we have bodies, we have consciousnesses, right? It requires a physical body to have, not to be alive, but to have a consciousness in the way that we talk about consciousness as it relates to the human psyche. And it's often marked by an increase of the spiritual dimensions of existence, a heightened sense of interconnectedness with all things and with all beings, so both embodied and disembodied, and a deeper understanding of one's purpose in life. That's the spiritual, that's the light stuff, the up here stuff, the angel stuff, the spiritual awakening, polished.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because usually when you hear the word spiritual awakening, you're like, oh, like you just think it's this, it's about, wings and clouds and angels and all of this stuff. But that's not the whole story, is it, Mandy?
No, that is not the whole story. It's part of the
Unfortunately.
story. It's
Yeah.
part of the story. And I think that's how it gets really confusing, because often as human beings, we separate the this polished version from the whole. And oftentimes we'll squirrel away that which is shadowy, that which is maybe ugly, repugnant, that we don't want to see. And we're like, we're going to keep this over here. Keep it in the shadows for a bit.
Right. And a lot of people, they go into denial. The second things start going off track, it's like denial.
Mm-hmm.
So
this can't be spiritual. This can't be an awakening. What is this? Ew.
Exactly.
But it does also involve spiritual awakening. All the aspects it have to change. It's asking for us to change and to explore and to shift, or to shake up our beliefs. Maybe we're bored. Shake up our values, our priorities, and wants to be acknowledged. Wants to be acknowledged.
Exactly. So yeah, when the spiritual awakening happens, we have a choice. And the choice is to pretend like it didn't happen and business as usual, status quo, or to actually use the gift that was being given, which is this opportunity, this invitation to go deeper with yourself and discover more clearly who you are. And a lot of people want to back away because part of that work, like Mandy says, it requires some level of changing and shifting your life to align more fully with your inner desire, your heart's deeper desires.
Yes, and the changing and the shifting that we as humans find uncomfortable.
Yeah. How many of you guys like change? Do you like change? Some people are just no change, and some people love change. So I like a lot of change in my life, but I like to hand pick it.
Anybody else? Do you love change? Are you all for that? High risk. Let's shake it up all the time. Which there's a shadow side to that, and we may touch on that.
Exactly.
Or is it no? I like to steady, structured, no surprises.
No surprises, right? It's like, yeah, safety. And we need all of that. We need all of it. And sometimes we have to force ourselves into it.
Yeah.
But look, oh, Lori, she doesn't like it. We have a lot of change lovers.
Yeah. Change is necessary. What about change that's uncomfortable? Mm-hmm. What about change that asks us to really scrutinize our process or scrutinize our life and our existence as we know it.
Yes. What about change that challenges every single role that you play in your life and challenges everything that you've been taught by your family,
Mhm.
or by our culture? What about those kinds of changes? Have you made any of those?
Mhm. And are you like, oh yeah, I like those. I want those. The changes that make us uncomfortable in our physical existences
Hmm.
and make us go maybe to the angels because we're so uncomfortable.
So some of the other symptoms of awakening are a sense of dissociation. So you feel not grounded in reality. Um, and along with that comes losing interest or not really being able to plug into the same things that you used to be able to plug into. Um, and sometimes it's your relationship, or your job, and that's how you earn a living. So that's a very awkward situation to be in when you want to run for the hills,
Yeah,
but you still got to do it.
yeah. And you might what may at one point have been a fountain or a well that you could draw from no longer does that for you.
Exactly. It feels flat. Maybe even your spiritual practices could go stagnant, or you can feel stagnant with them. What a lot of people don't know is that with spiritual awakening sometimes comes an excessive amount of depression and despair.
And
Um,
disconnectedness.
Disconnectedness, a lack of motivation, stagnation, disillusionment. So, some of you guys might be going through that right now, but may not have identified it as part of a spiritual, part of the phases and the cycles of a spiritual awakening. Um, because again, we identify it usually with its light side and not its shadow side. So I want you to really feel into that and think of that. Oh, Lynn's feeling it. See,
Hmm.
you probably thought you weren't doing a good job. You're doing amazing, Lynn.
And sometimes we think we only go through this once. So we might be like, I've already done this. And so aren't I done?
Mhm.
I've defined or redefined after leaving my environment of upbringing and those beliefs what I really believe. So I'm done.
I'm done. And I've heard a lot of I've heard so many people just say that to me to my face. Oh, I I don't really need that. I don't really have any
Mhm.
resentment. I worked through my mom. Okay.
Mhm.
You,
Oh.
you sure? And then the second
Mhm.
I take them into a little process. 30 seconds later, they're in tears, raging. Okay. So
Mhm.
you just never know. Um, what else?
Yeah.
So if you've had a dark night of the soul, that's also associated. It's an aspect of illumination and receiving a new level of consciousness.
It's
Um,
part of spiritual awakening. I don't think we can have one without the other. And I don't think we just have one. You don't have a spiritual awakening without having a dark night of some sort of the soul. Now, how that looks to all of us on each of us might be different. It might be different each time.
mhm. So someone is asking, what does Dark Night of the Soul look like? Mandy, you want to share your perspective on that?
The dark night of the soul, to me, looks like what we just described about and feels like what we just described about the shadow side of awakening. We may be feeling discontent in one or many aspects of our life. We may feel dissociated. We may be numbing and not realizing we're numbing. It's like the pre precursor to dark night of the soul. And by numbing, it can mean a lot of things. It can mean, like, oh, I'm turning this age, and so I'm gonna go ultra hard on the exercise front. I'm gonna, and not feel, or I'm gonna just hit alcohol really hard, or I'm going to. So it gets tricky because some of the ways that we dissociate and numb are seemingly, and maybe they start out healthy, uh, and so we get to examine where the balance is. It's when something gets out of balance, and it is integral part of awakening. We might, like we said earlier, be depressed. We might lack motivation for things that we know we even enjoy, or activities. Like I really enjoy being a parent, but I'm so not in, like, ugh. And what's wrong with me? Or I'm feeling disconnected. What about you, Corinne? Dark night.
Yeah. Well, I think that covers it. I mean, it really is. It's like extreme disillusionment and sustained, where you feel lost and empty. I know this one really well. This is I'll share with you my experience of it.
Mhm.
Lost, empty, like everything you're doing could be bullshit. Um, and I think a lot of people feel disconnected from their spirituality. Like maybe they were dialed in to their intuition, and then all of a sudden it's gone, and they're like, "What the heck is going on?" And
Mhm.
so a lot of people, they get super butthurt and they think they're not on the right track, but really it is the right track still. It
Yeah.
starts dark soul for the month. Oh, Lisa. Oh, I'm sending you love, girl.
Yeah, and this can happen for a month. It can happen for a year. I have had a mentor say, "Oh, I didn't realize I was in this dark night of the soul for 3 years." A go around. Uh, it can happen when we think it's not happening, meaning we can reject it. Like, this is not happening. This is not. Like, I just need to pray harder, work harder, get outside more.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
you think you're being ridiculous when all of a sudden
mhm,
you're not in love with your partner anymore.
mhm.
And you're like, "Oh, it's just a phase and it's just going to
Yeah,
go away. I just can't because I'm a good woman. I'm a
mhm.
good woman and a good."
Something's wrong with me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
something's wrong with me.
Yeah.
No, no, except for that maybe you don't want to look at what is underneath that, just to see if something is underneath that. And I think it is a really important part of
Mhm.
spiritual awakening that we
Mhm.
love to deny because of the discomfort that can happen when we are being tasked with making some changes, but we don't have this tangible reason for making them. Like, well, why? My husband is a great spouse who's so kind, and so what? So no, something must be. I got to figure out how to be happy. Uh,
Mhm.
you could peel back some layers and look at what that's all about. That
Mhm.
scares us a lot, though, because we might find an answer we don't like. We might we might be challenged, but we don't grow without challenge.
Right. And if we're really going to do it, right? So let's say you have a spiritual awakening, mystical awakening, and one of your goals is to actually experience illumination in this lifetime, like full realization, wholeness, to really commune with God, um, and unify with that consciousness. It is you won't be able to do it without really looking, instead of putting the blinders on, moving towards the situation, towards the discomfort.
Mhm,
So and someone had said earlier, how can we uh I think I lost the question, but it was essentially how can we alleviate some of those symptoms? There's a lot of different ways. One of my favorite ways in the past was tequila, but I don't really do that anymore,
Mhm,
you know.
mhm,
But there's a, we all have our own recipe, but really one of the ways is to really go sink deeper into yourself and go, what's really happening here, right? Looking at, at because really it's really our soul that kind of takes over. Our soul's taking over, and our soul, when it starts talking to us and we're not listening, it makes life extremely uncomfortable until we make alignment changes. Also, I feel when we go into the dark night of the soul, it's also cooking us. Like we're getting cooked. There's something unconscious. We're just cooking a little bit.
mhm.
Um, but but that's a great question because that leads into alchemy, because one of the ways that we can work through some of this stuff is through these really beautiful processes and intriguing processes.
Mhm.
Um, and this is Mandy's specialty. So, Mandy, do you want to talk a little bit about alchemy?
Sure. Yeah. Uh, what is alchemy? Alchemy is the to keep something that's not simple really simple, and I think very succinct. Alchemy is the merging of the mystical and the physical. It's the merging of the mystical and the physical. So, meaning that in our physical bodies, this is the mystical experience. This is the spiritual experience. And they're not separate. We like to separate them. We like to outsource them, outsource our inner healing intelligence. We like to outsource our inner shaman, our inner, you fill in the blank, whatever words you like to use. We like to outsource it to something that's outside of us, but it's not outside of us. It's the merging of the mystical and the physical. And the mystical is not all up here, it's also down below and around us. So, spiritual alchemy takes this whole spiritual awakening thing to the next level because it doesn't deny the shadow side of our nature. It says we can't have one without the other. So we may as well figure out how to come back and come back again and come back again into this physical existence. Repeat uh, with knowing that the mysticism lives inside of us. It's a transformative process that involves the alchemical transmutation of the dark night of the soul, of shadow material, of light material, of the human spirit and consciousness in order to attain spiritual enlightenment and inner transformation. You want to add some angel pieces to that?
How about like heaven on earth, yo? Like that's what it is,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
yeah, because really a lot of people think that the process here is about like ascension, right? And I always say it's about descension, bringing spirit down into the body exactly where we don't want to be, or where a lot of us don't want to be, because we're highly traumatized, especially after these last few years, right? So a lot of people are using their spirituality to escape, and that creates more and more suffering. So uh, okay, so let's talk a little bit more about alchemy.
Yes. Yeah. So uh, our bodies are important, and we've wanted to leave them for in some forms or another, or to outsource the power that lives within us. I mean, that's a tale as old as time. That goes back really far. And uh, our bodies remember the trauma. And so it feels a lot better to us as human beings to be like it's better to be outside of it, to numb it, to uh, escape it. And again, we choose our escape modalities. Spirituality is one of them.
It can
It
be
can be.
anything out of balance, and I know people who are really, it's out of balance. I know really gifted, highly gifted psychics and healers that are so good at their work, but then their life down on the ground is not really doing great because they're spending so much time channeling and like, oh, let's see what's happening over in this dimension, and not anchoring spirit inside their body and directing it to, bring healing and balance into their actual life.
Mm-hmm. And into their actual alchemical vessel, which is their body, is spending a lot of time outside and away from it, and for themselves maybe, and for other people. And also a shadow side of that is that, then I don't have to look at tending to my own vessel. So spiritual alchemy involves working with the alchemical operations and practices to transmute the egoic self and to transmute the hidden shadow qualities into a more evolved and spiritually awakened state in this body.
So it's like turning the lead in the body into gold.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And working with, because we have bodies, we have egos. So we're not getting out of that. But we can change how we come to and how we interact, and the alchemical interaction between the mystical and the physical, which will then change how the ego runs the show, or how much the ego runs the show. Mm-hmm. And when we talk about shadow here, we talk about it, our definition of shadow is not that it's bad. It's just still in the shadows. We can't see it. That's all. Mm-hmm. So it no judgment about what it is. Mm-hmm. It's what is unseen. So our shadow attributes can contain also very good material, but we've become culturally afraid of it because we can't see it. It's the unknown, and it's a very human thing to be. Maybe we're not afraid. Maybe we're just a little skeptical, or I don't know. It's in the shadows.
Well,
Can it stay there?
We're running on a couple thousand years of indoctrination, mm-hmm. telling us that dark is evil, mm-hmm. or shadow is evil. So, in the spiritual community, that's why we hear so many people saying, oh, love and light, only love and light, and only love and light. And those people are at risk of getting really tense the second that they reveal to themselves that they're actually human. Mm-hmm. And they don't allow themselves to have anger, and anger is healthy, people, especially, but it could really attack us if we're repressing it. Mm-hmm. So all that good jazz. And I love alchemy because it creates this beautiful framework for us to put all of our pieces down into it. We don't have to do the, go to confession on the side. You can bring it, serve it up and bring it all here. And I think so many people in the spiritual community are so tired of it being just love and light, and they're ready to actually get to deeper work inside of them. And so if you find yourself kind of going around and around in circles, maybe it's because you're not going into the dark, the not the dark, but the shadowy bits. And in the shadow is not just those things that we've rejected inside of ourselves, but it's also our deepest power lives there too, because we reject our power too, mm-hmm. As well. For a lot of reasons. We were told we had no power. We were told we were bad. So there's all, I mean, it's a really rich, beautiful topic.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're really excited to share more and to learn alongside, because I feel like us getting together and unpacking a lot of this is teaching us also a lot about it. It allows us to do our own work, our own shadow work, and remember it and explore it further. And then the key piece that alchemy helps so well with is integrating the aspects of ourselves that we have repressed or denied for a variety of reasons. Either because we were taught to, We had to as a survival strategy in our upbringing. Because, or it could go even further back than that. Maybe we don't know why. Maybe because we are all carriers of ancestral trauma, including perpetrator trauma. And when we repress that or push it back into the shadows, regardless of the reasons that we do, we also repress and or deny the gifts that we have, the power we have, the teachings from our ancestors, from the collective, from our original tribes all the way back. We repress it as well, because you can't push some stuff into the shadow and not other good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a high repressive mechanism, you may already have experience with this, because these aspects are already often unconscious, and they include our emotions, our beliefs, our behaviors,
Mm-hmm.
and our traumas and our gifts.
Yes. And when we don't integrate them, when we stay unaware and reject them, a lot of what can happen sometimes is that they can possess us. It can all of a sudden we do something that we really didn't plan on doing, and it caused a lot of shame inside of us.
And chaos.
I, we can go as far as to say chaos.
Sometimes external chaos.
External
Yeah.
chaos. How many of you guys have sabotaged yourself? How many of you are really good at the self-sabotage? I that was like my go-to. That was my go-to. But yes, the self-sabotage, that is coming from the shadow. That's coming from some repressed instinct that needs to kind of find its way out, trying to get your attention. And it can come out sexually, it can come out with addictions, it could come out with anger. There's just so many different ways it could come out, and it could be completely unconscious. And you're like, why the hell? Have you ever had those? Why the hell? That's the shadow coming to punk you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or why the hell, I really want to stop this, but I can't. I really want to, okay, I know about self-sabotage, or I know I'm wreaking havoc in my life and in my environment, and I really want to stop this, but I can't. The way you stop it, or a way, is by acknowledging it. And we're quick to hide away that which we don't want to look at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Essentially, anytime you catch yourself saying, "Oh, I would never do," good luck with that.
Yeah.
Really, really.
Yeah. How about
So,
I'd like to think I would never, and then it keeps. And I know that I am a human, and I have many facets that I don't know about.
yeah. And there's something I want to say, and I feel that we're moving into a different age and a different era now, especially when it comes to our relationship with spirituality. Where in the past, if you think about Buddhism, you know, there's a bro meditating on the mountain, isolating himself, um, elevating himself past the emotions, right? And in Buddhism, it's like if you have a reaction this way or that way, that's not a good thing, right? And so what they're doing is literally dissociating from their emotions. Okay, I can do that very easily, so I don't need to go all the way out to Tibet to get that to happen. These days, the information that I get, and I hear other mystics talking about this as well, is that we are here to this next phase to experience joy, to pursue like joy, happy, playful things, and that emotions are not to be shamed anymore. Emotions are to be celebrated, honored, respected, and integrated. So we were not, I know I was not raised in a house where I was allowed to be anything except for this little narrow box, really small. And, you know, I had to do a lot of reckoning later in life when it came to my emotions. because I didn't know how to I couldn't even cry in front of people, or express my rage. I was still trying to be nice. I'm not nice anymore, just so you guys know. But yeah, all of that stuff goes into a container, and it prevents us from being fully ourselves. And that's spiritual awakening at the next level, like full integration. I had someone say, when it came to, they were talking about, well, I'm trying to be like Jesus, and I said, okay, you can do that, but it's not going to work for you, because Jesus was not acting like the person before him. Jesus was acting like his full self, right? And so our task is to embrace and see who we are. That's the incredible power inside of us. And also, whatever it is that is just split off from us, that needs to come back to wholeness, because what it does is it makes us more resilient, stronger, grounded, um, and helps us be more capable of navigating our life honestly, as opposed to hiding who we are, which creates less pressure for all of us. Yeah. So let me. What's Maureen saying? Okay. Yeah, I love these comments. Okay, I'm just reading some of these.
Yeah.
Mandy, what else do we have on the docket? Is there anything else you wanted to share with that?
Okay. I think we've covered
Okay, good.
most of it. We just
So
want
so
to
we. Oh, what was that?
go ahead, roll
Oh,
out what's next.
okay. So we talked. I mentioned angels and alchemy, and we have so much more to say on the dark side of spiritual.
Oh yes,
Spiritual.
yeah,
There's
yeah, we
so
do.
much. I
We
know.
have a lot to say.
Yeah.
I did want to address. Somebody said something real quickly about dark night of the soul or perimenopause. Same things, or is one a shadow side of the other? I think that perimenopause is a weird time that can be, for a lot of people, another dark night of the soul, another initiation. And I think there are shadow sides to it. I think they can merge, the dark night of the soul / perimenopause, or a dark night of the soul / perimenopause. And I know you said there's one a shadow side of the other. I'm almost joking, because I'm discovering both are working together, keeping me rooted, and both are taking me through shadow to the light. Yeah, albeit at the long course. Yeah, so perimenopause can last 3 to 5 years before then menopause hits. Yeah, for sure. And I love that, taking me through the shadow. This go around, it's the Ouroboros. This is it's just the layer you're peeling off is extra thick, and you can do it with support. Yeah, for sure.
For sure, you need. Yeah, I find perimenopause it's like for me, it's a master class in authenticity. I'm just
That
not
we all keep on taking if we, if we're really into it. We all keep on taking, like, oh, I need to, I guess I'm going to take that master class again. Yeah.
Oh gosh. So I mean, we wanted to get you guys together because she and I are doing this class. We're kicking it off next week, and we wanted to give more foundation and framework for why it's essentially, I feel like it's mandatory in one way or the other to shift how you're looking at your spirituality and to do deeper work. But it's mostly mandatory because for me, I play in angel world. So it's important for me, especially, and probably for you guys too, to just go into these operations, and they're so cool. Each one has its own special thing, and as we go through so we're doing a 4-week class because we wanted to give it the credit that it deserves, and it is 2 hours. We kick off on Tuesday. And what do we want to say about that class, Mandy? I think I wrote down some things, but what do we want to say about it?
What do we want to say? We are going to, it's sort of, in a way, it's a teaser, because alchemy is incredibly complex. And so it's a task and a really wonderful task to we're going to do 2 operations a week. And this is only part of alchemy, but I think it makes it so much more accessible as far as languaging around alchemy and how it relates to angels and spiritual awakening. And so we are going to be concise and direct and really get in there with the operations and where you might be in the alchemical process, how that might relate to your psyche and how it shows up, so that you can start to identify this yourself, so that we will make what is going on internally alive, so that you can work with it in a really tangible way.
And we're going to be doing it too with everybody, because it's one of those things. It's like you're never done. It's like this spiral. You can keep going around and around. And what's cool about this class is that she and I are teaching it together, and it's going to be live interactive. So you'll be able to ask questions. We'll be able to feel into stuff with you. But we're going to be doing a series of really potent and beautiful exercises, meditations, give you workbooks. And if you can't join us live each week, we are going to have a method for you to be able to ask questions in advance, so that we'll answer them for you, even if you can't attend live. So especially if you're feeling stagnant, if you're feeling a little discombobulated, and you really feel like you need a new influence, something new, some new energy, then I definitely recommend joining us. And I decided a couple of days ago that starting today, for the first 5 people that join from this point on, that I would love to give a 30-minute soul reading to. And I don't do a lot of one-on-one work anymore, but I felt compelled to do that for this class, because the work just, because I'm excited to talk to people who want to take this class too. So if you want to take it, definitely sign up sooner than later with us. Because I want to peer into your soul.
Yeah. Look at your alchemical pot. Yeah,
exactly. So I wonder if we kind of went over that. Yeah, we're going to go through a lot, and then you're going to have recordings. We mentioned workbooks. So please join us. It's going to be juicy. I'm telling you, we have a lot of provocative stuff to talk about.
Excited.
We're doing our best to hold back today.
Yeah. Because we'd be on here for hours. Be like, exactly. and then. Yeah.
Exactly. So hopefully you guys can come. Thanks for joining us today. And hopefully we'll see you. It's Tuesday, I think, at 11:30 a.m. Pacific time. And again, if you can't join that time, you can come, or you can catch the replay.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, you guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Mandy. Thanks for joining.
Thank you, Corinne, for having me.
Yeah.
Excited.
Oh, I love it. I know. I'm excited too. Okay. Bye, everybody. Blessings to everyone.